Hey everybody, how we doing? We're going to throw together a few Chinese dishes here today, all low fat, as we continue our annual trek away from obesity. So here we go. First thing we're going to make some chicken pot stickers. So we've got our little breading ready to go. And now what we're going to do to start this is we're going to take 2 cups of shredded cabbage. We're going to pour that into about a tablespoon of oil in a frying pan. And we're going to let that cook. And as it cooks, and as that cabbage sucks up some of that oil, because it's going to cook probably for about 7 to 9 minutes. And as that dries out, we've got a half a cup of water here, and we will slowly add that in as it cooks. So instead of having you just sit here and stare at me for the next 9 minutes while this cooks, we'll come back once that's cooked, because once that's cooked we have to cool it down. And then once it's cooled down, we'll bring it out and I'll show you what we mix in with that to complete the pot stickers. We'll be back. Now we're also going to make some sesame chicken today. So what we're going to do is we have put together, and I've already marinated this and got it ready, but I'm going to let you know what I did for a marinade. I cut up 3 chicken breasts, boneless chicken breasts, into bite-sized pieces. We marinated this in 3/4 of a cup of soy sauce, 1/4 cup of teriyaki marinade, 1/2 cup of a dry white wine, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, and about a teaspoon of ground ginger. And we've got it in there. We put it together. We threw that chicken in. You want to marinate that, you can marinate it overnight, but you want to let that marinate for at least 4 to 5 hours before you bring it out to finish the dish off. So that's what we've got going on with this, and we'll come back when we're ready to bread this and bake it, not fry it. And we'll also show you how to make the sauce to go with that. Now, the only thing I'm not sure of, I had to use, and this is a problem I've come up with several times while I'm cooking, and it always baffles me. I'm making a recipe here. This called for 1/2 cup of white wine. Now, I'm not a wine drinker. I thought, what can I do with this? I thought, well, later in the week I can make a risotto. And a risotto, when I make a risotto, I use another 1/2 cup of white wine. So, I've got to come up with a solution of what to do with this before it goes bad. Any thoughts out there? We'll be back. Alright everybody, while we're waiting for everything to cool to mix the rest of the pot stickers, we're going to throw together the sauce here. I've already started putting some of this sauce together. Basically what I've put in here so far is a couple of pinches of chili powder, a teaspoon of olive oil, 1/2 cup of soy sauce, 1/4 cup of white vinegar, and we're going to add a green onion into that, and we're also going to add a tablespoon of teriyaki marinade. So there we go. Again, we got a teaspoon of olive oil, 1/2 cup of soy sauce, 1/4 cup of white vinegar, a tablespoon of teriyaki, couple pinches of chili powder, and a green onion. And that should be, just waiting for the chicken pot stickers now. So that's all set. We also toasted a couple of tablespoons of sesame seeds, and that's getting ready for the sesame chicken. We just popped that in the oven on a baking sheet for a few minutes until it browned, and now those are ready to go as well. We still have the problem with what to do with the leftover wine. We're still contemplating it and throwing it around, and we just can't come up with a solution. So stay tuned. Okay, now what we're going to do quickly is just throw together the dipping sauce we're going to make for the chicken pot stickers. Now when those are done, they're a great appetizer before you sit down and have your meal. You can have those pot stickers and just to kind of hold you over for dinner as a little appetizer. What we do to make that is we'll take a cup of soy sauce, we'll pour that in, and then we're going to take a 1/4 cup of white vinegar. And then we're going to take a teaspoon of olive oil. And then we're going to take just a little pinch of chili powder. And there, my friends, is a dipping sauce for your chicken pot stickers. Just waiting for the pot stickers, and we're ready to go with the dip. Still debating on what to do with the leftover white wine. We'll be back. Well, we're back. We found something to do with the white wine, and now we're going to finish where we left off. We've got the cabbage, the fried cabbage all cooled for the wontons, the pot stickers. We're going to throw that in a bowl. We're going to add a 1/2 pound of ground chicken. Remember, we're going healthy. We're going to do a tablespoon of shredded and diced ginger root. We're going to throw in 1 egg white, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of sesame oil, about 1/3 cup of green onion, one clove of garlic crushed up. And we're going to mix that all together. And that's our wonton mixture. Or we would call it our pot stickers. What we are using is you can buy wontons, nice round wontons that you can buy and purchase already pre-done. They're usually in the refrigerated section of the produce department in most grocery stores. And we're going to use the round ones here. And what you want to do once you get this all mixed up is lay out a couple of your wontons. And you're going to put about a spoonful of the mixture in each of them. This should make quite a few wontons. You're probably going to get about, oh goodness, probably about 30 pot stickers out of this. Now, what you want to do to seal those up is just take a little bit of water and kind of run them around the edges so that will seal. And then pull those over, seal them down, and you're going to place them on a baking sheet. And this baking sheet, we put a little bit of cornstarch down so that they didn't stick to that. And then what we'll do is once we get those put together, we'll put them in the refrigerator for a while, let them sit, let them settle, let them close tight, and then we'll come back and show you how we finish cooking them. Alright, now one of the dishes we're going to have with tonight's meal is mushi. Now with mushi, you can add pork, you can add chicken. We're going to try and just make mushi tonight a vegetarian mushi. So we're going to put it together. We're skipping the pork, we're skipping the chicken. We're going to start out, we get 2 tablespoons of sesame oil heating in the pan. We're going to take 3 garlic cloves and we're going to mince them right in there with the sesame oil. We're going to let them cook up a little bit. And then what we're going to do is we took basically about almost a whole small cabbage, diced it up, about a pound of shredded carrots, about 8 scallions chopped up. And what we're going to use is we're going to use a bag, about a 16, 12-ounce bag of bean sprouts. And we're going to use those instead of our meat to make this meal. Now normally when you would make this, if you were using a meat, you would take half of that amount of garlic. I put in 3 cloves of garlic. You would take about a clove and a half and you would saute that with the meat. Then you would remove that when you started the process we're going to go through now and add it the last 2 minutes of the process. But since we're not using any meat, we're putting all the garlic in at the beginning and sauteing that as we go. So we've got that going. It's starting to get hot. We're going to pour in some of the cabbage to get rolling. We'll mix in some scallions. Throw those carrots in there. And as this cooks, all the moisture is going to bring that right down to about a quarter of the size that it is. You want a good sized pot for this, because when we go to stir it, there's going to be a mess. We've got it ready to go. And we're going to keep cooking that until it gets down to a nice tender texture, and we'll be back to show you what it looks like when we're done. Okay, we've got this, it's starting to cook down a little bit. As it cooks down a little bit more, once it gets a little bit lower than this, we're going to add the bean sprouts to it, and then we'll mix the bean sprouts in and cook them together. Now what we're going to do in the meantime while that is cooking is we're going to get ready to bread our sesame chicken that's marinating in the refrigerator. We're going to put a cup of Italian breadcrumbs. Believe it or not, I know this is Chinese cuisine, but we're using a cup of Italian breadcrumbs. We're going to use 2 cups, I know, this is me saying this, 2 cups of wheat germ. We've got a 1/4 cup of sesame seeds, and we're going to put in probably about 2 teaspoons of black pepper. We're going to mix that together, and then we're going to bread up our marinating sesame chicken. And then we're going to bake that at 400 degrees, probably for about 20 or 30 minutes. We'll show you what it looks like before we pop it in the oven. Okay, we get the sesame chicken breaded in the mix that we put together. This is one tray. We've also got another tray in the oven. We get 2 trays out of that. We're going to slide that in at 400. That's going to take probably about 20 minutes to a half hour. We'll take a look at it. If it looks good, halfway through we may even turn them over and brown them on both sides. Now we've got the mushi cooking away, and it's getting down there. We've already added the bean sprouts to that, and it's coming along just fine. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to add 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, and then we're going to add half a cup. This is a 1/4 cup thing. We're going to add a half a cup of hoisin sauce. Now the one thing I'm going to warn you is everybody has different tastes. The Tai Ling is my preference for hoisin. I have tried others and I don't get the same flavor from them that I get from that one. It's almost like some people might say, well, I have to have a certain kind of mayonnaise or I have to have a certain kind of ketchup. There's Hunt's ketchup people and there's Heinz ketchup people. So you have to get your taste down what you like. I don't like some of the other hoisins, but Tai Ling is my preference. So we're going to mix all that together. And that is almost done. We're probably going to let that cook just for another 2 minutes. You can serve this however you want. You could make this an entire meal. You could take this and grab yourself some shells of any kind you want. As far as it's difficult to find some Chinese pancake which you would find in one of their restaurants, but you could put this in Syrian bread. You could get a flour tortilla, put it in the flour tortilla, just rub a little bit of hoisin sauce on there, put that right in there, and you could have yourself a meal. Or what we're doing today, because it's all vegetarian, we're using this as a side. Now if you were going to add that meat in, like I told you earlier, if you had added chicken or you had added pork to this, this is the time you would add that cooked meat back into this for its finishing touches. Because that's only got about another minute, and that is done. We'll be back in a second, and we'll move on to pork fried rice. Okay, and now for our pork fried rice. We have to have pork fried rice to go with this. No, we don't. We're trying to lose weight. So what we're going to do is we're going to make chicken fried rice. We cooked a pound of chicken earlier. We used half of that pound in our pot stickers. We're going to use the other half pound in our fried rice. So what we got here is we've got 2 tablespoons of sesame oil. We're going to add a couple of scallions to that. Scallions, green peppers. We already cooked a pound of brown rice earlier. It's been in the fridge cooling, because you want that cooled when you're going to turn around and then fry that. So we're going to let these cook a little bit. And then we're going to add the rice in a second. Throw that chicken back in there. About a half a pound of ground chicken. Heat that up. And we're going to add that rice right in with it. The rice is cold. It'll get back in there. Add a little heat. Now as that heats up, we're going to make a little hole in the middle to add our egg. But we're not going to use an egg because we're trying to be good. So we're going to use fake eggs. And we'll pour that in there. As a famous man once said, I don't like to eat anything that's pretending to be something else. But then again, as we get old, we're pretending to be something else, so we have to have stuff like this to keep us going. So we're going to clear a little spot in there. Pretend like we're pouring an egg in. Let it cook right in with the rice and the scallions. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add a couple of other ingredients. We're going to add a 1/4 cup of soy sauce. Cup of peas, obviously frozen. Oh, you can hear our oven beeping. That means the sesame chicken is cooking just fine. And we're just going to cook this around a little bit till it heats all the way through and the peas are cooked. You can add other things in here if you like. You can add water chestnuts if you'd like to throw them in there. And of course, like I said, you can add any kind of meat you want, depending on whether you want to live past my age or not. And that's going good. We're going to let that cook a little longer, and we'll be back. Show you the results of that, show you the results of the mushi, show you the results of the sesame chicken. Oh my God, am I really trying to lose weight? It just doesn't seem that way with all this food that we have. But I can tell you this, if you spend all day cooking Chinese food, you have to lose weight, just running around doing it all. We'll be back. Well, we're back. And we pretty much have our final results. We have our chicken pot stickers with their dipping sauce as an appetizer. Now, of course, there is plenty more pot stickers than that, but that's a one-serving dish we're going to put out there. And believe it or not, each of those pot stickers is probably coming in somewhere around 40 to 45 calories per each individual one. So it gives you something to eat that isn't too bad for you. Now, we got a feast for 1 million people over here. We have our pork fried rice coming out. We have our mushi here. We have our sesame chicken out of the oven, all breaded, just waiting for the sauce to be poured over that. And then we have our sesame chicken with the sauce. With some toasted sesames right out of the oven, sesame seeds. And you are now eating Chinese. And me? Hey, was there any more of that bottle of wine left? Oh, manja. Take care.